If you're going to expect to do this under emergency conditions, or you're going to build the trust in advance so that you have that trust during an emergency, you're going to have to normalize emotions in the workplace. One of the best resources for this is there's a book called Clear Leadership by Gervais Bush. I really, really like that book. It's got practical activities for you to do. One thing that we do in our work group is we actually talk about real feelings. And we have an agreement if someone asks another person, how are you feeling today? Or actually, usually what people go, hey, how are you? Right? The casual, I don't really want to know, don't tell me too much. Don't try that with my work group because you'll get the real story. And the reason we decided to have that level of honesty is we wanted to make sure that we're continuing to keep conversation around our emotions, knowing how important they are. So practice that, build that in, try that with some of the groups that you partner with. You'd be amazed what you find out. And here's the reason why you want to do this. This is a story. This is not actually my donkey, Eleanor, but I did have a donkey. I had a very large donkey. How many people are horse people in the room? Anybody know horses? Okay, Eleanor was a mammoth donkey. She was 14.1 hands high. She came from the rodeo where she'd been abused, so she was kind of twitchy. And I thought, I'll save her. She was also my backup plan for transportation off the 10 acres I lived on a mountain. Seriously, people look at me and go, you had a donkey and you had a farm? Really? I did. And so my plan was, when the earthquake happened, I knew I had to still get to work and I knew I couldn't drive down my mountain because the road was going to fall off the cliff. So I was going to take the donkey, I was going to saddle breaker. I was going to take the donkey and we were going to trek down the mountain together with her loaded up with my supplies for work. I was going to radio ahead so that my amateur radio operators and their four-wheel drive vehicles could come and get me. And then I would unload the packs off of Eleanor and I would slap her on the rump and send her back to the barn. I'd go to work, stay with a friend, stay in a shelter, whatever, and then I'd come back when I could get home again. Except poor Eleanor was very traumatized in the rodeo. She got hit a lot. She had a lot of problems. She had issues with ropes. Couldn't halter break her hardly. Got her halter broke, couldn't saddle break her. So she was kind of useless as a pack animal. But I thought, well, at least I can still try. So I thought, I'll go ahead and just start approaching her gradually instead of approaching from the front. I'll just start gradually working up to approaching her from the side and eventually from the rear so that she learns to trust me, that I will not harm her, and I have a bucket of oats for her. Well, one of the things about donkeys that you need to know, and this is why you don't want to be a donkey, don't be a donkey. Donkeys don't show their stress. They don't show their emotion at all. In fact, there's some farriers who work on horses' hooves that will not touch a donkey because a donkey will give you no warning before it kicks. So one morning, I went out to the stable. Hello, Eleanor, and I'm talking as I'm approaching. I have the bucket of oats. She sees me, she looks over her shoulder. I'm like, I'm going to approach her from the rear and put a firm, not a tickly hand on her rear, kind of coming at an angle. She could see me just fine. I'm thinking, we're good, we're good. And all of a sudden, lightning fast, never saw it coming, lightning fast, she bolted forward and I'm like, oh, she's running away. No, she wasn't. She was drawn back for a really good kick. It happened so fast I didn't see it happen. It was a blur. And I'm lucky she got me right square in the femur. Luckily didn't break it. One heck of a bruise. The reason that you want to bring emotions into the conversation and start talking about them now, get comfortable with them now, is that in a crisis, you don't want to have someone snap. You need to be able to have people have language for emotions and be able to process them, or you're going to snap like Eleanor, and then all heck breaks loose. So don't be a donkey. Work on the emotional expression piece.